Hello? Hello? Testing. Is it on? Is it on? This is Peyton 3.0, the EDM and drumset vocalist Zombie Supreme. But this is a special spin-off, one of a kind episode series called The Truth Is. And the name of this episode is, of course, Why Obesity Can't Be Stopped. Okay? As you can see by the man in this picture, even as he's being catered off, he's like, I don't know, 600 pounds. He's on this stretch thing that these nurse doctors, whatever, try to carry him, and they're struggling to carry him. And yet he has a soda and a hamburger in his hand as he's being carried off in one of those gowns to the emergency room. Okay? This is not make believe in this picture. This is not unrealistic. This is the truth. Okay? America is one of the most fattest countries in the world. One of them. Other countries are climbing. Okay? And today I'm going to be explaining the reasons why obesity can't be stopped. I'm somebody who has suffered from the American diet from a very young age. And those very young ages are very important because there are certain things that will be hard to get rid of later in life that will stick with you, especially what you be feeding your child. If you're somebody that is already affected by your family eating habits, so now your child's affected because you never were able to change your eating habits, and the generational curse of obesity continues because our brains, unfortunately, are structured a certain way where it's hard for it to let go of things it considers to feel good easily, like eating fast food, cookies, candies, ice cream. You know, I was pretty good with my weight anyway until I was 13. Then I ballooned up and I was fat all through my teenage years. In my 20s until I was 26 and moved to LA. And then I started to take my health and at least exercise seriously. So for the first time, I was in an environment where the gym was something to go to. And so I went because I wanted to be this whole big pop star, and that's the reason why I moved to LA. So I went to the gym consistently because I was determined to get rid of this weight, look the best, feel the best I could, and I succeeded at that. And then when other shit in my life hit the fan, and things got really ugly and hard in LA for me, I turned back to the one thing my brain loves to do, which is instead of doing drugs and alcohol or even smoke weed, my brain turns to eating processed and sugary foods for comfort when things get rough. Okay? And I'm sure that's many of you out there. I even used to eat when I was bored. When nobody would hang out with me or whatever, LA was tough to make friends. You know, I would eat when I was bored. I would even do that back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I was born and raised. Being fat was the norm in the city I was born and raised in. So, your environment also directly affects you. Community affects how you'll turn out. And so, I had got fat again when things got really difficult in LA. Cause I started turning to food. I started going back to Jack in the Box, and there was one point where I was vegan in 2012 to 2014. Then shit hit the fan, so I went back to eating Jack in the Box and all that, and I got fat again. And then as I learned more, I started to change along the way mentally as I learned other stuff and was able to let the bullshit of LA go, even though I was drenched in LA, living in that environment. Um, I was able to get skinny again after discovering these fasting secrets by somebody named Thomas DeLauer, who I used to watch today, who had a lot of informational knowledge, and I started to lose the weight again, and I became skinny once again. Although I had cut out the gym, and all the way up to 2019. Fast forward, the pandemic hits. I was still going to work. I didn't lose my job or anything like that. Didn't lose my job. Give me a moment, folks. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm not exactly sure what had happened. But it seemed that and mind you, I'm 36, 35 at this point, that the old ingrained change of food for comfort is starting to creep back in heavily. There were certain triggers that I fell back to my old habits again, and I started to put on some pounds, and I have eventually gained, even though I moved out of LA eventually to Las Vegas, I eventually gained 40 pounds. It seemed like overnight. And my doctor, I went to see him, because I already had a pre-existing condition anyway that I can't get rid of. My doctor was like, you've gained 40 pounds and you have pre-diabetes, and then he was like, no, correction, you have type 1 diabetes. And so I just not that I took him seriously, didn't take him seriously. It was just okay, and I know he's gonna explain more because I haven't done all my research on diabetes. I watched the documentary, but whatever. Type 1 diabetes is actually, for those of you who don't know, is reversible through change of food that you're eating and exercise. That's reversible. Pre-diabetic, whatever, reversible. It's once you get the type 2 diabetes that they don't seem to have a cure for that. You can't just exercise your way out of it, or you can't just change the food you're eating, because now it's so deep, the body has gone awry, that's not going to work anymore. And so I was like, we body, we brain, because I'm always talking to fight with my own brain, right? We have to get it all the way together. Small steps, we actually have to get it all the way together before it is too late. So we have to change the way we're eating. We have to get back to join a gym again, along with how we were fasting, to accomplish not just for the looks, but for overall health. I'm already feeling. I've already been doing this stuff now, and I already feel amazing. Even though I'm not down to the weight. The weight's slow. If you're doing it right, you lose a pound a week. So that's going to be a journey. You need to put it on overnight, and you're not going to take it off overnight unless you go through those crazy surgical procedures. Especially if you only have to lose 50 pounds or less. It's kind of over the top. If you're like this man in the picture, I'd most likely get some surgery if I could. But then again, that comes with huge risks as well. You might not make it. You might not be as lucky as an Al Roker, if you know who that is, who survived gastric bypass. But I'm not somebody that wants to go under the knife for anything. If I absolutely don't have to, I've been able to avoid the knife all these years. Let me avoid the knife for as long as possible as I can. Right? Because you want life later in life to be, you want things later in life to be pretty as possible for you when you get older. When you get into your 40s, then your 50s, and so on. Which is a stage of life that I'm actually headed towards. Okay? Your daily habits will kill you or they'll heal you. So, with that being said, I knew that there was no turning back. I'm like, look, we're 37 now. Yes, we feel and look like we're 19, 20. People said it to us. They think I'm still some budding 20-year-old with all this energy, which is great. But this body has lived an age of 37 years. So I cannot neglect the fact that I feel and look so young that that's going to be enough. I got to treat myself like I look and feel 37 in order for me to take the changes that I need to make seriously. And I have. And I've been consistent. I know how to do this. Right? So comment below about your struggles with obesity and food or whatever or whatnot. Comment below. But the food industry has a monopoly on our minds. The food industry has a monopoly on our minds and our wallets in most developed countries. Not necessarily feeding us food for for health. That all basically changed in the 70s when the big food boards had these meetings. When these guys came along and said, "Listen, we need to change the way that food is done." And they had this meeting, and this meeting went over, and it was changed like food forever, you know. And then people, and both people were not fat, started all of a sudden obesity started popping up out of nowhere, and it's been the same ever since. People with little pot bellies to medium pot bellies to huge pot bellies to just morbidly obese and just like this man in the photo, muffin tops and all. They studied the brain. They knew that sugar was highly addictive to the brain. So they knew once they get them hooked on a certain product, they crafted, and they're only crafting food products not for consumption of health for the human body. They constructed these food products to make maximum profit, because really these food products are just products to make profit. It has nothing to do with you and your health. They don't care about that, and somehow they've been able to get away with killing millions of people and giving them diseases for years and years and decades now. You know, over 4 decades, and nobody's stopping them. Not the U.S. government. Nobody is stopping them because they have a monopoly, and they have the lobbyists up in there speaking and paying pockets out and all this crap to continue this terrible, terrible cycle. And so these are like some of the main reasons, if not the main reason, of why obesity won't be stopped. Because there's just a couple of major companies that really own the whole industry that run the show in multiple countries and continents. Nestle being one of them. Allegedly. Is that what I'm supposed to say to avoid lawsuits? Allegedly. Okay. We'll play the game. But yeah, so the thing is, like I said, they know the brain. They study the brain. They did the research. And all the companies from McDonald's to Nestle and beyond are playing the same game with your health. Right? We know there are healthy foods out there that are on the shelves. But those foods are not the foods that are set up in markets to gain your attention. When most people walk into the market, they have already lost the battle, because right there in like the first thing you see in a Walmart or whatever in the front are cookies, donuts, or whatever just sitting in your face. It's really the first thing you see. And when you go to the cash register, there are all these candies and things and sugary sodas and energy drinks. And they're all basically set up the same way for you to lose and give in, because your brain's already used to the product. The brain's gonna light up and go. Ooh, it's all kind of things are gonna be lighting up in there for you to go ahead and buy that candy you know you shouldn't be buying, right? Especially if you're already obese already. But like I said, it's not as simple as using your willpower to overpower your brain's thoughts, because it's almost like fighting a raging bull. You know, there's got to be some jarring things that you have to learn that wake you up in order for you to truly win the fight against your brain, your subconscious, or whatever, when it sees these foods in front of it. Right? Because without the proper training of how to avoid your impulses in your brain, you're gonna fail every single time. And so the truth of the matter is, and I don't want to go on too long with this, is that the truth is that obesity will not be defeated until we can somehow get these food companies to stop the bullshit. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. There have been people trying to fight these food companies. There have been people out there lobbying for better things, whatever. And you know what? These people have made some strides, but not nearly enough for obesity to have been defeated and gone down. Nope, nope. People are fatter than ever around the world, including my fat ass right now, that is adamantly losing these pounds slowly. Okay, I've lost, I think, about 10 to 12, 13 pounds now, and counting. And I will not stop until I get to peak health, weight wise and health wise, how I feel, what I'm putting in my body, which is the most important thing than anything that you do in the gym, is what you put in your body. Are you putting mostly carbs and sugars in your bodies? Is that the majority of your diet, like mine was? Or are you putting healthy protein and vegetables in your body, and finding inventive ways and healthy ways to make those things taste good and appealing? Because apple cider vinegar works wonders. You put a little olive oil on that broccoli, that spinach, you make it nice and hot, you stir it up, and it tastes good to eat, at least to me. Some of you may not be into apple cider vinegar, I get it, it's better on food, so if you just chug it down like I do every now and then between meals, you know, I'm kind of chaotic like that. But yeah, so this basically wraps up the main reasons of why obesity will not be defeated. It will not go away until we can get these food companies to change their ways. Because it's not as simple as people talking about you're voting with your dollars. It's not the whole truth. The truth actually is that you're fighting against your brain and this ingrained thing and eating habits and patterns that you've had since you were a child, basically in the womb. Some babies actually come out the womb fat already because of their parents' bodily environment, that they're already predisposed to these foods in the womb. And so they already come out addicted to these candies and sugars. Right? And so they didn't have a fighting chance from the beginning. It's like crack babies, honey, because the mother's been doing so much crack that the baby comes out, unfortunately, kind of unhinged, right? The baby didn't even have a fighting chance. Some babies are born with HIV because it's been passed down from somebody that has it. Actually, let me check my facts for a minute to make sure that I know that that's a fact. That you could be born with HIV from the person that has it. Not to mention, advertisements for this food and stuff is everywhere. It's on surround sound. It's in your news feed. It's on your phone. It's on your TV. Because they want to keep you. They want to keep you buying. They want to keep your customers. They want to gain new customers. That's the game in this capitalist system. And so you give in and you go in and you don't feel the best and because what you eat actually affects your mood. Did you know? What you eat actually affects your mood. That's not something. That's not something you could just willy nilly just will together. No, what you're eating affects your mood. Okay, it affects how you actually feel, whether it's happy or sad. A lot of people are tired and over it and defeated before they can even get to the job because of what they're eating. It's controlling their minds. Being happy shouldn't have to be that hard. Even with the stuff that you may be dealing with in your life, things would be a lot easier if you ate foods that were not all these processed sugars and carbs and things like that and whatnot. You know? Yeah, yeah, I was right. You can be born. People are born with HIV as well because the parent that had HIV transmitted it to their child, basically, inherited from the parent in the environment that they're in the biological environment that they're being created in. So everything that you do to yourself while you got a baby inside of you, it affects that baby. Yeah. But anyway, um, this is the reason that why obesity will not be defeated until these particular things can be changed. Let me know your story with obesity in the comment section. We are all fighting together, but we have to be conscious about what we're fighting and taking the steps and actions in order to make the permanent changes that we need and not to give up on ourselves when we slip back in. And basically, it's like, I don't know if you know who Jimmy Lovato is or anybody who's addicted to drugs or crack. Um, it's not withdrawal, but it's what's the word when you go back to doing the thing that you've been sober from like a year to 6 months. What's it called again? Not withdrawal, but relapse. That's it. Relapse, and a lot of you out there, you are going to relapse. I've relapsed when it came to food and got fat again a couple times. But it's about not giving up on yourself and finding new ways that keep you inspired to stay on a healthier path. So that if you practice this enough times and you relapse and you practice you knew something else new and you have a great foundational reason of why you need to be healthy, and it's not a good one, or else you won't stick to it. Then eventually you will stop relapsing. I know that. You know, I haven't. I know that this time for me is going to be different just because of the what I know now that I didn't know back then when I relapsed, right? I just keep learning more stuff. And so education through these new channels and the internet and YouTube and all these other things that we have now is key. And like I said, you gotta really want it. If you want something in life, you will find a way to get to it some way. Even if it takes you over a decade to get to it, if you stay passionate in the fire for it, you'll get to it, right? But you gotta stay consistent and you gotta stay hungry. But hungry in the right way, not for food. Okay? This has been Peyton 3.0, the EDM and drum step vocalist Zombie Supreme, the Godfather, the Queen, and the King, all of that. And I will see you on the next The Truth Is. Have a great day.